Alright guys, so I'm going to be doing a double comic review of two Halloween-centric comics I got while I was away for a little bit. And those being Crypt of Shadows from Marvel and Gargoyles Halloween Special from Dynamite. So I was contemplating of doing like a two-video review, but I was like, there really isn't enough here to talk about to warrant two videos. So I figured, you know what, we'll just review two Halloween comics, because 'tis the season, am I right? So let's get started with, let's talk about Gargoyles Halloween Special first. This is in continuity with the current Gargoyles comics that Greg Weisman is writing. In fact, Greg Weisman wrote this. And while it is a one-and-done comic, while I thought it was like a little one-and-done comic that didn't really have a lot to do with it, this actually has a lot to do with what's going on in the comics, and I should know better because Greg Weisman is a madman when it comes to continuity. So this was in continuity with what the comics were. And I'm not saying if it wasn't, I'm just saying like it was a nice little one-and-done that you wouldn't need backstory for. Turns out you kind of do. So for those who don't know what's going on in Dynamite's continuity with Gargoyles, is that this guy right here, this is Nashville. He's the son of Brooklyn and a gargoyle he met in Japan named Katana while he was jumping through time. They had a family together. That's Foo Dog, Bronx's dog, and not Bronx's dog, Brooklyn's dog. And they basically, that was all in slave labor graphics, and it's been brought here. To catch up on a few other things, the other things that did happen was that Goliath did go on trial. He has been released, and there's a gargoyle task force that's trying to keep the peace between humans and gargoyles, and the Quarrymen are the big villains here. If you guys remember, the Quarrymen are like a Ku Klux Klan but they're really racist towards gargoyles. Although I'd imagine if there were no gargoyles, they'd probably be racist towards other people. Because you don't see a lot of people of non-white Quarrymen in these comics. Anyway, so the comic isn't really much. It's just Nashville getting the spotlight and going out into the world and going trick-or-treating for the first time. And it does really invoke a lot of the original episode. It actually calls back to the episode with when Fox became the werewolf-type creature. They actually call back to it with a new character who I do think is going to be a recurring thing in the comics, Careless Jones, who I thought was a woman, turns out was a man, and was hitting on Lex. For those who don't know, Lex is gay. Even I forgot that. Like, I have to remind me, oh yeah, Lex has a relationship with one of the male members of the England clan. They actually bring that up in here. This isn't really a lot. There isn't really a lot here. It's a cute comic. It does have it does have some continuity, and Goliath and Lisa have a nice dance again. It's cute. And it was a nice little story. I just really hope Dynamite puts this all in trade. I'm going to be very pissed if not. Anyway, so yeah. Just a cute Gargoyles story. It's a nice little Gargoyles Halloween special. It's not really spooky. It's more like it's always fun to beat up a racist. Remember, kids, it's okay to punch them if they're Nazis. Anyway, so let's move on to our next book, Crypt of Shadows. Crypt of Shadows is a nice little anthology comic, which basically should be called Marvel Superheroes Team Up with Horror Characters, because that's really what it is, except for one story. There is a big wraparound story of a Tales from the Crypt type character focusing on Victor Strange. If you don't know who Victor Strange is Stephen Strange, Doctor Strange's brother, who became a vampire and actually brought vampires back. For those who are not in the know, there was a time where Doctor Strange used this thing called the Montesi formula to rid the world of Dracula and all vampires. And then in the 80s, that was back in the 70s, then back in the 80s, vampires came back. And they've been here to stay ever since. But he's trapped in a place called the Crypt of Shadows, and Victor, more or less, Stephen Strange's brother, is trapped in his spirit is trapped in a mirror. He calls himself a vampire ghost, and he tells stories. He's the big wraparound. He's our crypt keeper of telling these stories. The first being with Wanda battling this new villain called the Bricklayer, this is very horror-centric. The Bricklayer is made from a murder house, and the bricks are all over the place. It's more like build up for what's next for Steve Orlando's run for Scarlet Witch. In fact, all of it's just set up for stuff for future comics. Then we have Deadpool teaming up with the Living Mummy to take on a Necromancer. Following that, we have what I think is what personally I think is my favorite. Not think, I know it's my favorite of these anthologies, involving Daredevil, who is ambushed by the Hand. And this probably doesn't run in continuity of what's going on with Saladin. This more than likely doesn't have anything to do with Saladin Ahmed's run with Daredevil. So that you could probably say, like, this is kind of this doesn't really have any effect on that. It's actually not in continuity with it all, but I would imagine you could make the argument maybe it's somewhere in the Chip Zdarsky run, but I digress. So Daredevil gets ambushed by the Hand, is being attacked in the sewers by the Hand, like I said, and out comes Man-Thing. And they actually met before, way back in back in the 60s. And in here, it's a nice team up between Daredevil and Man-Thing. And I always kind of I wish we got more of Daredevil meeting Man-Thing, because he's the man without fear, and all who know fear burn at the Man-Thing's touch. So I thought that was pretty cool. And also, it's kind of an adorable moment where Matt's all beat up on the ground and he's bleeding, and then the Man-Thing just comes over and he's like, Matt's worried because he's like, I don't know, I wandered into Man-Thing's territory. I don't know if he's gonna freak out on me. And then a Man-Thing just helps him up and helps him out of the sewer. I thought that was very cute. And finally, we have a team up between Werewolf by Night and the Hulk battling Kraven the Hunter. Nothing really big here. It's just they encounter Kraven. That's it. It's a Werewolf by Night and Hulk team up, and Kraven gets his ass smacked around. Yeah. Like I said, bare bones at best. So, all in all, it's a cute story. It's more like, hey, if you want to read more of these characters, go check out these books. No, really, that's what it is. I never really buy these Halloween anthology books, but this was just something I got on a lark, because I was like, you know what, cool. I read through and I was like, ooh, a Daredevil and Man-Thing team up, and Hulk and Werewolf by Night fight Kraven? Cool. I don't see a lot of that anymore. Hell, I haven't seen a lot of the Living Mummy. Neat. And he's teaming up with Deadpool. Again, they've met before. I think in the Kelly Thompson run, but I digress. So, it's cute for what it is. It's about $5. You get what you pay for, really. It's more like, hey, if you like this, go check out these comics. And that's really what it is. I think the best one, I would say the Scarlet Witch story is probably the second best. But like I said, my personal favorite's the Daredevil and Man-Thing team up. But anyway, you guys tell me in the comments below, if you've read these, let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Did you guys like them, hate them? Comment below, let me know. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.